everyone. I'm going to show you how we do our production of our Made Right Here candles at Pilgrim's Market. We'll start with measuring out our fragrance. All right, so I'm doing 12 9-ounce jars, and that comes out to about 7.3 ounces of fragrance. Set that aside. Now we'll measure out our wax. And we use soy wax, Golden brand 464. We're going to start melting this. Once you start melting, you do not want to leave it. I'm going to turn this wax melter up to about 300 degrees. This will take about 15 minutes to melt down completely, and while we do that, we're going to set the wicks in the jars. I made myself a handy little guide. It's the circumference of the 9-ounce jar, and I made a little bullseye where I want to get that wick set in there. Then these are double-sided wick stickums. You want to take one of those, stick it to the bottom of your wick, pull off your tab, and then use a skewer and get it set right down inside there, and then press all around the sides with the skewer to firmly adhere it to the glass. Do that 12 times. Okay, so once all the wicks are set in the jars, we can put all of our attention into the wax. We want to bring it up to temperature, and it's gonna be 185 when we can add the fragrance. And we add the fragrance all at once. And 185 is the golden number. That's when the fragrance molecules will be able to adhere with the wax molecules correctly. And so we will just wait for that process to occur. Okay, so I'm coming up to 175. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the melter at this point, and we want it to carry over to 185 degrees, and then we will add our fragrance. We're at 185. I'm gonna add all of the fragrance. Get it all out of there. Then we need to stir for 2 minutes straight. That will make sure that the molecules of the fragrance will adhere to the molecules of the wax. And then we'll start our cooling down process. Okay, so we got all of our fragrance mixed in for 2 minutes straight. Now is the cooling down process, and what I do is I get a super cold wet rag and I wrap it around the melter, and that helps draw the heat out of the melter. It helps it cool down faster. The faster you cool down the wax, the better it's going to set up in your jar. So I learned that this is the best way possible, is to just keep a cool rag wrapped around it. This takes about 10 to 15 minutes depending on how much wax you have in your container. We want to bring it down to about 140 degrees, and at that time we need to warm up our jars, our glass jars, because you want your jars to be warm when the wax goes in, otherwise the wax won't adhere to the jars. And that doesn't affect the quality of the candle, it just doesn't look very good. It's pretty warm on that side now, and I'm just going to transfer the colder side to the other side of the melter. I'm going to air this out, and this will help cool down the rag by swinging it like this, because it's hot and I'm creating wind chill on that rag. And then I'm going to mix the wax. Each time I do this, it drops the temperature by about 5 degrees. You want to pour at 135, but I bring the wax down to about 140 because it takes a minute to warm up the jars. Okay, so we are down to 140 degrees. We need to pour at 135 degrees, but we want to warm up our jars before we pour into the jars. You want the jars to be 100 degrees, so if it's warmer than your hand, you're good to go. I always use one of these handy dandy heat guns. It's a necessity when making candles, and this is how I do that. All right, so we are down to 135 degrees. Our jars are all warmed up, so it's time to start pouring. And this is how we do that. These are our wick locks. You set them over the wick like this, and the wick is kind of flat on one side, even though it's a round wick. It's a little bit flat. You want to kind of set it up into that opening. Pushing it away from you is the easiest. And then I always kind of just twist it and lock it in place. And that's how you do that. Hey everybody, it is the next day, so here is our finished candle. We're just going to go ahead and take off that candle stay. Then we're going to cut down the wick. Leave about 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch. You always want a 1/4 inch wick when you're burning your candle anyway. And then you just apply the labels. There's a warning label on the bottom telling you how to burn it. And then the lid and our label. And voila, we're all done.